In modern times, we fly through the skies without fear in our flying aeroplanes. However, in the past, things would have been very different. Perhaps we would have been more cautious than to enter such airways. This is all things creepy. Let's begin. You're walking along in a late Cretaceous forest, minding your own business and eating some leaves. But something doesn't seem right. Something seems off. The trees around you start to move. With great horror, you realize that these are not trees. They are spindly limbs. As you look up in horror, all you can do is scream as a beak the size of a school bus lunges down and snatches you up. Meet Hatroks, a pterosaur that stood as tall as a giraffe and flew. During the late Cretaceous period, in the age of dinosaurs, the island of Hatrok was a very small landmass made up of what is now Transylvania in Romania. It broke off from the mainland many years before, and as a result, the animals on this island exhibited island dwarfism. Typically, large sauropods were much smaller, more similar in size to that of a horse. The predators showed a much similar trend, becoming very small and unthreatening. However, animals capable of flight were not restricted by this small landmass. Hatroks grew to massive sizes. It would fly onto the mainland, walk along on its long limbs, snatching up horse-sized sauropods in its mouth and gulping them down whole. I think it's safe to say that a human wouldn't stand a chance. Number 2. The giant dragonfly. Today we live in the age of mammals. 65 million years ago it was the age of the dinosaurs. However, 300 million years ago it was the age of the arthropods. Insects, millipedes, arachnids, all of these animals reached Earth far before we did. Our ancestors were still swimming in puddles and had only just started to crawl onto land. On a world covered in dense forests, the oxygen level was so high and the natural predation was so low that these insects grew enormous. Meganeura was an ancient relative of the modern-day dragonfly with a wingspan of 2.5 feet. It would have buzzed through the dense forests of the Carboniferous period, attacking and eating other insects and smaller animals. Due to the immense strength to body mass ratio of insects, it would have easily had the strength to lift and snatch a baby from a cradle. With number 3, we visit an island that exists today, New Zealand. Separated from the rest of the world at the time, New Zealand was inhabited mainly by birds that have flown in from the mainland. Without the rodents and other common mammals that we see in other continents, birds adapted to fill these spaces. The kiwi, for instance, displays a lot of rat-like behaviour. However, there are flying mammals too. Mystacina myocinalis was a gigantic bat, 3 times the size of modern bats. Taking advantage of the lack of land mammals, this huge cat-sized bat would have crawled along the floor hunting for grubs and insects. Whilst it was no threat to humans, it would have definitely been a sight to behold, and a bizarre image for the human settlers that eventually arrived. At number 4, we go back to the Triassic period, just before the evolution of the first dinosaurs. Potinik was a flying fish, similar to those of today. This 240 million year old fish had adapted fins for gliding and a powerful tail to launch itself out of the water, flying thousands of feet out of the water to escape the ichthyosaur predators. This would have been a bizarre sight to behold. These fishes flew before the earliest pterosaurs, meaning that they were the earliest airborne vertebrates. Lastly, we have an ancient relative of the modern condor. Argentea was a gigantic predatory bird with a 20-foot wingspan. It would have swooped across South America 6 million years ago. The bird was huge, almost 160 pounds. This would have greatly hampered its flying abilities, and therefore it's unlikely that it was an active predator. It would more likely have been a thief and a scavenger, using its immense size and ferocious claws and beak to scare off some of the smaller canid predators and steal their kills. Despite having a bark bigger than its bite, this creature was nothing to scoff at, standing at 6 foot 6 inches tall. Try to imagine that chasing you. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, share it with a friend, and of course, if you haven't already, subscribe for more creepy content.